Did you maintain contact with some of your fellow soldiers?
The Marines.
Or Marines? Oh, Marines have a really hard time when they call them a soldier. Okay, I'm sorry.
Not for quite a few years. It wasn't until they created a group called the Chosen Few, which is a organization of all the survivors of the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir, which include Marines and soldiers, and British Marines, and British Royal Marines from England.
Right.
And
So did you get together very often?
every other year there's a convention somewhere in the United States, and I've been to a couple of those. But most of the fellows that I know, actually all the people that I knew and was in the service with have passed away. And so I have no connection with any of them anymore. It was worry about my family, and my wife and child, and it was the uncertainty. We didn't know what was going to happen. You know, when we thought that we would be activated and get some training before we went, but they didn't have time. So we knew enough to, you know, we had worked with the 105 millimeter artillery howitzers, and we knew how to fire then, but the basic things that you get in basic training, we didn't have.
It's amazing. Amazing that they just put you there so quickly. Did you have the ability to communicate with your family while you were in Korea?
By letters, yeah.
By letters?
Yeah.
No telephone calls?
Oh, no.
No, really?
Oh my, no, not back then. There was no cell phones then.
I know.
And so, but we got no mail when we were cut off up there, and my wife was, of course, very concerned. There's, they likened while we were cut off up there, they thought the whole First Marine Division would be wiped out because we were outnumbered by such a large number of people. But our officers, who were mainly World War II veterans at that time, and especially our commanding officer, held us so we could support each other. We were separated in, let's see, there was 1, 2, 3, 4 different groups that were of this 15,000 people, 5 different groups that were separated by a few miles. And he was wise enough to keep us within artillery coverage of each other so we could support each other on the way, coming back out again. And fortunately, his plan and his planning helped the First Marine Division to extract themselves from the predicament they were in. And he said it wasn't a retreat; it was just attacking the other direction to get us out of there.
Right, of course.
Sam, sit down. Sit.
He wants to be part of the interview.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to introduce him later. What sustained you? Because I think the experience of war is something very difficult.
Well, I'm a Christian, and I knew the Lord was watching after me, and I felt that was what really got me through that situation.
Really?
So,
did you see the same type of faith and that sustained other soldiers that were with you, other Marines that were with you?
Not that I know of. I know one fellow that said that he wasn't going to make it, and he didn't.
Oh.
And he was a World War II veteran. He had a wife and 3 kids. And anyway,
What was the attitude when you got back home, or when the war was over, or even towards the end of the war? What was the attitude of people when you returned? Because I obviously you know that when Vietnam vets returned, it was not the most welcoming.
well, we were welcomed okay, but it was as if, you know, it wasn't a popular war because it was right after World War II.
Right.
You know, just about 4 or 5 years, and the idea was get it done and get out of there. And it wasn't a popular war because General MacArthur made a lot of mistakes in sending us up there. He should have never been there.
Really?
And
Never should have been in South Korea, or what was that?
or North Korea. No.
Uh-huh.
If he would have kicked the North Koreans out of South Korea and stabilized the 38th parallel, it would have been over. But he wanted to take North Korea also. Well, the Russians and the Chinese supported the North Koreans. And so and he didn't think they would do that. And it was very evident that we knew that they were there because we could see them on the ridge tops. And they kept saying, oh, there's just a few of them, they're not going to bother you. MacArthur's right-hand man, General Allman, said, oh, you don't let a bunch of Chinese laundrymen push you around. Well, you take 120,000 of them, it makes it pretty difficult.
Do you think they knew that there were 120,000, or that there were thousands, or did they misjudge, or did
They
they get poor
misjudged. They misjudged terribly.
maybe got poor intelligence?
Yeah. Well, there was enough intelligence to know that because we told them we ran into them early, but then they pulled back.
Mm-hmm.
So we there's been a lot of books written about it.
I'm sure. I don't know a whole lot about the Korean War.
Most people don't.
Yeah, most people don't. And it was such an important war. And I would imagine that with what's happening now with North Korea, must be something that you're following.
Oh my, yes. Yeah. That emperor of North Korea is crazy. I mean, he has to be insane.
That's the scary part.
And they treat their people terribly. They don't allow anybody in or out.
How did you find the South Koreans?
Well, you know, they had been under Japanese control for many, many, many years before World War II, and it was a very poor nation. It was, you know, the little villages, the sewage was still running down the streets, and they lived in little houses with rice straw roofs, and it's just an extremely poor nation. And now it's a very rich nation because of our presence there.
Have you been to this the monuments in Washington, D.C.
Yes,
for South Korea?
Yeah.
For the Korean War, sorry.
Yes, I have.
They're quite impressive.
Yeah. But they got it wrong. Shows everybody in ponchos. We didn't have ponchos. We had parkas.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, they have those ponchos, those soldiers. I look at them and I get cold.
But it's not ponchos. It should have been parkas. I have. Let's see. I have some pictures somewhere. I have a DVD of the Chosin Reservoir campaign, and anyway, here I've got let me get a book.